Did you know electricity existed over 2,000 years ago? It's called the Baghdad Battery.
Take a clay jar with an iron rod sticking out in some museum basement. Here's the kicker though, it may be an ancient battery that rewrites history. Could it really be the first ever battery, constructed centuries before the very notion of electricity? It only deepens when you learn that this bizarre artifact vanished without a trace. To a person unfamiliar with it, the ancient Battery of Baghdad may appear as no more than a mere clay jar with a metal rod sticking out the top. Upon discovering it though, Wilhelm Koenig once concluded this to be a battery constructed by the ancient Parthians, long before any other known batteries ever existed. This idea has since been continuously argued by experts, many of whom say it is now proven wrong. So, what did Koenig think made it a battery? Was he right? Therein lies the million-dollar question behind the mystery of the Baghdad Battery. Actually, there are three parts to the Baghdad Battery. First of all, a small clay pot 14 centimeters tall was found. The top was probably sealed with asphalt. Then, inside the pot, there was a copper cylinder, and inside that, an iron rod. The rod would have projected out through the top of the jar. The Baghdad Battery is also known as the Wilhelm Koenig Battery, named after the man considered by many to be its discoverer. Koenig was a painter and archaeologist who became the director of the National Museum of Iraq. However, he never disclosed where, when, or how he had discovered it, or where he had found the battery. Most people believe it was discovered in the Khajut Rabu, an area in Baghdad. The details, however, are still very vague. Some say that Koenig found it during an excavation in 1936, while others think he found it in 1938 in the basement of the Iraq's National Museum. Everybody agrees that the Baghdad Battery was discovered near the ancient royal city of Ctesiphon, but the time of its making is what continues to be in dispute. This Ctesiphon had served as the capital of the Parthian and Sasanian Iranian empires. Koenig, on his part, thought the battery was from the period of the Parthian, dating it between 150 BC and 223 AD. However, the new generation of archaeologists believed that it belonged to the Sasanian period of 224 to 650 AD. This artifact, even if established as being made in the later Sasanian period, would give several centuries of priority to the discovery of an electric battery over that provided by Alessandro Volta on March 20th, 1800. What is quite clear is that Koenig wrote a paper titled A Galvanic Element from the Parthian Period in 1938, in which he first proposed that the artifact was an ancient battery. What really made Koenig believe it was a Parthian battery? The million-dollar question about the Baghdad Battery is whether the devices found together make for a battery. Indeed, when Koenig first put forward his theory, no ancient texts supported his hypothesis, and none have been seen since. So what made him think it was a battery? He may have noticed the artifact consisted of two metals combined with an electrolyte to create a battery. There is some evidence to show that the jar could even hold an ionic solution, such as vinegar or wine, acting as an electrolyte. Tests carried out on corrosion suggest it likely held something acidic. Assuming this is the case, a Baghdad battery can produce small electricity in the magnitude of 1 volt. The voltage might have increased if wires had been connected to its use. From here, there are numerous ideas of what it might have been used for if the artifact was indeed a battery. There are varying theories as to what the Baghdad Battery was for. Ancient civilizations have applied electricity to their version of medicine. The Greeks used electric fish, like placing them on people's feet, to help relieve pain. It is said that inside their statues of idols lay a battery, creating a slight buzz, similar to some kind of religious trick to impress followers. This was even tested in a 2005 documentary. Koenig, on the other hand, believed the battery was used for gilding, which is coating one metal with another. Gilding was already happening when making jewelry and other items using simpler methods. He thought the battery made electroplating a much easier way to coat metals possible. However, historians and critics indicate no proof of electroplating during this or any later period exists. On the other hand, there is much evidence regarding different methods of gilding using mercury compounds which left traces. One of the huge problems with Koenig's idea was that the power of the Baghdad Battery, as it was, could only make about 1 volt of energy. This is very low and incapable of powering much, let alone for gilding. Although the addition of wires might have increased the power, no wires were found, and there is no evidence that people back then knew how to use them. Moreover, the electrolyte inside would have needed refilling regularly, which, with the asphalt stopper sealing the jar, would have been very hard to do. Thus, it would have become quite unsatisfactory to be of any use. Opponents also indicate no mention of such an invention in ancient writings. Suppose this was indeed a device of great importance. In that case, it should have been recorded and passed on, or at least used by somebody else, for which, again, there is no evidence. Many believe the Baghdad battery jars performed a similar function to store sacred scrolls. It resembles other scroll containers of that time, found near locations like Tigris, and the battery was found among a series of jars like that. The iron rod might support a scroll inside the copper tube. Koenig referred to such scroll jars in his book. While ancient batteries seem exciting, it's more plausible that these jars were for scroll storage. One of these batteries was stolen from Iraq's National Museum in 2003, and to this day, its whereabouts remain unknown. Thanks for watching. What do you think? Is the Baghdad Battery an ancient power source, or just a totally misunderstood artifact? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this dive into history's mysteries, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more intriguing stories.